Thursday. We're still here on Thursday.
I love the Thursday thing. It just
I know.
feels right. How
It does.
didn't we think of this right from the start? Why
Well-
was it Thrive on Wednesday?
Well, nobody ever said we were super smart, Rob.
No, obviously not. I mean, come on, man. I'm thinking about this. Now, I know partially why, because we are going to come up with some weeks here in the future where we're traveling.
Yeah.
For both of us. And so there won't be a Thrive on Thursday. Who knows, though? If we get enough love, maybe we'll do a Thrive on Tuesday.
Mix it up a little bit. I like it.
Ooh, just could be. Hey, listen, we'd love for you to get these cool shirts. Jason is wearing one right now, and we think they're awesome. The folks have been amazing for us. I just love the cool design, and it is super cool. That whole minimalistic look thing is really popular right now.
It is. You got a bunch on there. He is king.life. You see the code on the screen. We'll keep the one up in the corner. The ATV 10 is our code where you can get 10% off for being our viewers. And we are so grateful for each and every one of you. And just having He is king.life as a sponsor, the stuff is amazing, Rob.
It is incredible, even though I've never had any, because Jason tells me regularly that he's going to send me some, but I have yet to see it. So I can't speak from experience, though Jason is wearing every shirt that that they have, because he gets them all and then keeps them all. Because if you look at it,
it's my new wardrobe, Rob.
It kind of, if you notice, ladies and gentlemen, we're kind of the same size. You know, bigger guys, we hang out together. We like, because not that we
all know where the good food
that's really kind of, I don't do that, but it's like we know we can go to the same shop and go, ooh, they have two.
Well, Rob, you're
you know what? I'm
fancy.
serious. Sometime this year, we need to dress alike. I think that would be awesome.
I think so. Yeah. No, I definitely think we need to. Mm-hmm.
I think right there, then they would take our man card away completely.
Well, see, you're always in the nice shirts, Rob, and I'm just a t-shirt kind of guy,
This is actually a gift. These are gift, and they are not a sponsor, but holy cow, they are super cool. This is actually a gift from Kristen a couple of years ago. And if you've watched me on TV over the last couple of years, it's kind of a default shirt. It's from Johnson & Murphy. Mm-hmm. And the reason I like it is it's non-wrinkle. And like, it was not today. It was hung up today. But there are times where it actually is like a ball in my suitcases. So if you've seen the shirt on me before, it has made several appearances. Kristen bought it for me. And it's
you know who has some good clothes, or at least he thinks does. We just went through a draft this past weekend, and Shadur Sanders. I know that's a big.
He's legendary. Did you see that? I mean, we both played sports, and there is a certain level that you have to play sports at a competitive level,
especially at the level they're at. Yeah.
Well, that's higher than Jason and I ever achieved. I was recruited by places like Montana State Technical University. They had 5 guys on the football team. You had to play both ways and had to cover 2 people. And then they recruit. Actually, Montana recruited me, which is super funny. But they didn't want me to be a quarterback. And the guy goes, "No." I'm like, "Yeah, I could be quarterback." He's like, "No, you be a linebacker." And I'm like, "No, I want to be a quarterback." He's just, "No." But yes, Shadur. I felt sorry for him, honestly, because last week we did a show, and then we talked about that the draft was that night, and of course everybody was talking about how he could have been. There was talk that he was going to be the first pick.
I know.
I was like, you and I both have looked at tape. And in fact, we've talked about this. I looked at tape of him and I went, I knew I was never a great quarterback, but I was watching, there's a guy on YouTube and you can find him. I'm not going to give him a plug because his language can be at times quite colorful. But he breaks down film like you and I used to watch film, from different angles and stuff. And it was the easy flat routes and the post routes that he was having the most problems with.
Yeah, the easy stuff.
And
he held the ball too long too. So, but for him to fall that man, that was crazy. I think that was more of the aura surrounding him and just everything that he brings to the team. That I think there's going to be some distractions. They all thought, but the talent's there. He just needs to be some work with it. But yeah, I agree completely.
Mel Kiper was about to have a stroke.
I know, right?
I swear to you, poor Mel Kiper. I've watched Mel Kiper since I was a little kid, since I was like
his hair's never changed.
It never has. And he was about to have a stroke. I swear to you, he's like, this is ridiculous. And the key thing though, and several of the people said this, Rich Eisen said it, and I think this is probably the smartest thing, is once he fell to the second round, it became, he's not going to be a starter.
No.
And so it became this thing of, do you want the distraction? Do you want prime in your locker room? And do you really want prime? Now I love Deion Sanders. I follow him on X. I think he's brilliant. He is an amazing marketer. If you want to learn marketing, go watch him.
Well, and he brought God back to Boulder, which is amazing just in itself, that he brings that conversation back. Just being the dad that he is, and he treats all of his players like his own son. So it's really cool. And I actually do like Deion.
I like Deion too, but a new terminology that I'd never heard of. I guess it's common. It's called a snowplow parent.
That's a new one for me too.
And Deion, they claimed Deion was a snowplow, meaning that he kind of cleared the path for his son and made everything easier for him. Mm-hmm. I, of course, being from Minnesota, I thought of my dad. He'd have been chasing me in the snow.
Yes, I understand.
We talked about this. I still think my dad probably talked to the coach and went, "Nah, make him run another couple laps, or make him run, stadiums." Did you run stadiums?
Oh yeah, yep, stadiums, stairs, all of it. Oh yeah.
Oh, and I'm like, I my knees hurt just talking about those things. So anyway,
I am excited because our first guest today, Rob, he's a dad of 6. So I got to ask him this question. We got to bring him on here to talk about this.
Okay.
But hey, let's bring him on.
Find out if there he is.
Our first guest today is Chris Farrell, a Jesus follower, a father of 6, devoted husband, and a bold, purpose-driven entrepreneur. He's the host of the Price of Success podcast and has helped launch powerful podcasts like The Family Captain, The Fit Dad Life. Chris is on a mission to help people turn their story into a platform for impact and income through podcasting. Please welcome Chris.
Rob, Jason, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yes. I know before we got on air here, man, we were just kind of nerding out on your podcasting equipment that you have. You got all this professional setup, man. You're rocking it.
Hey, man. Well, this particular setup is my mobile authority machine. It fits in one suitcase, which is amazing. And then I'm able to set up from wherever. So I'm actually at a friendly neighbor's guest room, and she's hosted our family this week as we're traveling.
Well, I know me and Rob were talking about Prime being father, all of these things. Yeah. You being a father of 6, man, you got to tell us how you do this.
Oh man, a lot of prayer, a lot of coffee. I tell you, man, I never expected to have as many kids as we have. In fact, I was a pretty selfish human being. And so really having the amount of kids we have now has been incredibly, obviously a blessing, but at the same time, super refining.
I understand, brother. I understand.
Yeah.
Hey, so I want to start talking about how, podcasting, turning this into income. You've been in this world for a very long time, and you've shown tremendous success. You've helped a lot of different podcasts out there, and you have your own now. But what are some of the first steps that people are thinking about a podcast, like turning their personal stories, like talk through this and how and why people do podcasting?
Yeah, well, so I'll start by saying, Jason, most of the time people start a podcast, they don't actually think that they can monetize it. 98, 99% of podcasts don't even make money. And so first and foremost, people just assume you have to play the long game. And so for me, after, building 6 or 7 podcasts, I realized like, well, wait a second. If people have the right offering on the back end, people buy from people that make them feel understood. And so when you bring on someone who wants to build a podcast, who has a great offering on the back end, and you can get the audience to know, like, and trust them, you're pre-selling them on the content. And it's good for everybody.
Oh, I love it, brother. And you've worked on some super powerful podcasts, some shows. What is the secret behind building a podcast that people not only listen to, but connect with? Because that's the biggest piece, right?
What is the secret behind a powerful podcast?
Yeah. What's that golden nugget that just helps people connect. It's you've told me in the past. I'm just kind of throwing you a softball here on. It's their story, right?
Oh, absolutely, dude. Authenticity. It is your story. Like, you are just Jason until people hear your story and who you are when your back is against the wall. And that really shows people your character. You know, I had a guy on The Price of Success yesterday. He built an incredible and he's built an incredible company and brand. And he straight up told me, he's like, dude, I made 7 figures and I sold and sold and sold. And you know what? I did not fulfill. And I ruined my name. I dragged my name through the mud. And I was like, you know what, dude? But that brings incredible credibility to who you are now, because a scam artist would not tell that story.
Wouldn't admit that. Yeah, wouldn't bring that vulnerability. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Story is everything, man. Story sells.
So tell me about some of the podcasts you've been a part of. I know you have the Family Captain, right? You had the Fit Dad Life. You've had a few of them.
Yeah. So back in 2018, I had a fitness studio in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I decided to start a podcast. I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say, you should start a podcast or you'll be at the mercy of those who do, and in your space. And so I was like, okay, what the heck, I'll do it. So I started the Fit Dad Life. You know, I look back on that one, I'm like, ooh, I've learned a lot since then. Started the Fit Dad Life, and then that turned into my wife and I starting a podcast called Grow Yourself, Grow Your Marriage, which was a marriage podcast, which went global. And like, we didn't even try. It was just sharing our story and sharing the messes that we'd been a part of, and how God had grown us. And then shortly after, built another business podcast, and then kind of left that space, came back and built a grief podcast for my old college basketball coach. And it's just funneled from one podcast to the next, man.
I forgot about the sports background too, man. It's we talked about that when I was on your podcast, which you're getting ready to launch, right?
Yeah. The Price of Success. That is my newest podcast. People always said, hey, Chris, why don't you have your own? You're hosting everyone else's. Why don't you have your own active? And I was like, you know what? If I was going to build a podcast, I'd want to talk to entrepreneurs and really get into, like, not the glamorization of entrepreneurship, but like, what's the head trash? What are the things you've gone through? And really, that particular show is, oh my goodness, I want to talk to the entrepreneur who just jumped out and is feeling the burn. Like, this is way harder than I thought. I'm not cut out for this. And then I also want to talk to the prospective entrepreneur who's like, I know I need to make the leap, but I'm scared to do it. Mm-hmm. You need to see what it's like on the other end and how God rewards obedience.
That's incredible. And I got to be a guest on that podcast, which was incredible. Thank you so much for that. Really cool in how you're producing it, how you're just putting out there and bringing our stories to life, being vulnerable, especially us as men. It's hard for us to be vulnerable, but you give the platform for that. Man, that is incredible. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. And your listeners should know I specifically dropped your episode here about 20 minutes ago. So if they head over to the Price of Success YouTube page or Apple Podcasts, whatever links, then they can check out your story, man. And guys, you do not want to miss Jason's story. It's absolutely unbelievable.
You heard a little bit of my story on here, but we definitely go a lot more in depth within that. So you can check out the QR code that has all of his Linktree stuff there. You can get that. I do have a question. As a father of 6, how do you manage demands for entrepreneurship, being a father, staying grounded in faith, like all of these pieces, because it's a lot.
Man, you know what, dude? I feel like I struggle with that the most, because it's hard to go from your brain is on high octane all the time, and then you got to leave the office and you got to jump to another box. Like, okay, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter what type of podcast you produce. You still have to disciple your kids. You still have to lead your wife. And so am I perfect at it? Absolutely not. Am I conscious and aware that I need to continue to improve? 100%.
That's incredible, man. So, we're talking about the Price of Success with a new podcast here. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned in stepping into your own podcast, stepping in fully into your calling? What's the biggest lesson?
I'll flip the question on you and say the biggest lesson I've learned in how to create a great podcast. Mm-hmm. Creating a great podcast comes down to the ability to be able to extract properly. And extraction comes from a place of genuine curiosity. And so some people are like, should I start a podcast? Will it be good? Well, if you host a podcast with 2 people, you're hosting somebody and you don't know how to extract or thread a story properly.
Mhm.
I mean, dude, you've seen those podcasts before,
Oh,
right?
completely.
Where a host asks a great question, the guest gives an amazing answer toward a story, and then it just falls flat because they go into the next scripted answer. No, thread it, pull the principles, pull the lessons, be genuinely curious. And that's who I am, because I literally come from, I should not be a podcaster.
Oh, come on now. You definitely should, man. You should.
Well, here's just a little 30-second bit of my story. Is I literally grew up little brother syndrome, didn't have a voice, grew up the stupid kid, 1.3 GPA, all the things, barely graduated high school. And I had speech issues. I stuttered all the time. And so now, seeing that God has literally helped me build a business, and I'm a podcaster for a living, and supporting a family of 8 off a single income while my wife's homeschooling 6 kids, is like miraculous.
Dude, that is incredible, man. Your story is awesome. I would love for people to go and check out your link tree, check out more of this, check out all the podcasting. You're going to see more of Chris. We're going to be doing a lot more things together. Just the way that you, even, as a guest or even hosting, how you bring out that story with people, man, it is incredible. I learned a lot just on being your podcast about how to do more of this and just have discussions and bring this out to the public. So, man, it's incredible to have you as a guest on the show. One final thing as we finish up, Rob will jump back in here.
Yeah.
What is the first step for somebody to think about a podcast? Maybe in
What's
our audience.
the first step for somebody? You have to know what the payoff is to your podcast. What is the point for your listener? You have to know, like, what is the thing they're showing up for? And then all of your questions and the entire brand is guided by what they're coming for, what's in it for them.
Love it, brother. Love it. Rob, you got anything?
Hey, man, well, I was going to ask, are you going to be a snowplow dad?
Oh my goodness, man. You know what? It's so funny. I'm not, as an athlete, I genuinely, we don't even have our kids in sports yet, because we're just like, oh my goodness, let's scale back. We just know sports are overtaking like church and Sundays and all the things. And so we have so many kids, we're pulling back right now, and just kind of letting our kids find their way in the world, socially and with school and all the things.
Hey,
love it, brother.
Appreciate it. That's awesome. Thanks, Chris, for being with us. It's a great interview. Love Chris. Love what he's doing and what he stands for. I think that's incredible. And having a family. I mean, that is incredible stuff that he's got going on. And now this next guy that we've got coming up, and I love Jess, and we kid him off air because he has some amazing health advice, and I teased him about my jar situation, and if you know Jess, he's got a great personality. He's just a fun guy, and plus he makes us international, because he is not here in the United States.
Yeah, and a friendly face. He's been on here before, and we talk about sports. I know, our past guest here, Chris, he was a college basketball coach, played basketball there. Me and Jess played college football together. I've known Jess for a lot of years. But his Kingdom Health journey that he's bringing to the market is incredible. And we're going to start seeing a show on the network here possibly about Kingdom Health and how people can utilize this to just it's everything in their life.
So I was checking. I'm going to say this before you guys get going. Jess now as a guest has been on more than anyone else on the show. Jess, this is his 3rd time. No one has gone 3 times on the show.
That is true.
Congratulations on that. There is no award for that. Or maybe people will pity you for actually 3 times agreeing to be here with Jason and I. But we love Jess, and you guys, this is something, if the stuff Jess talks about is so important, so grab some paper or something and jot down some of the stuff he's going to talk about, because truly, as we get older, it's more important to be cognizant of what your health is like.
Completely. And Jess, I'll do an introduction to you, man, just because I've known you for a long time. You're one of the founders of Kingdom Health, a health and wellness movement that's grounded in Luke 9:2. Jess is equipping the body of Christ to reclaim their health, restoring their energy, and fully step into their calling. He believes the church should thrive in spirit, soul, and body, and he's giving people the tools to do that, all biblically based. Jess, I know we're working a lot of this stuff together. It's changed my life, changed a lot of people's lives, and what you're building with Kingdom Health. And man, just welcome to the show.
Guys, just thank you for having me. And it's an honor to be on here 3 times with you guys. And it's always a blast when I come on here and chat with you guys. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. We've had this discussion a little bit before, but I'd really like to dive into this a little bit more. How is health spiritual? I know a lot of people think that, health and diet and things aren't necessarily spiritually based, or doesn't have to be. They're two different buckets, but you're changing the way people believe in this and saying, okay, health is spiritual, and we can put God into everything in our lives, right?
Oh yeah, amen to that. And I think it's a very simple answer, because if we think about the creator and designer of our bodies, it's God.
Yeah.
Yet today we're conditioned to believe that a health journey has to be done by ourselves. It has to be done with the newest fad, has to be done with the newest supplement, whatever that is. And if we just take a pause and go back to even Genesis, we have been made in the image of God and after his likeness. And so much of what has been revealed to me through this process is that he has been a missing part of so many health journeys, especially for believers, is because we don't talk about it in the church, or if we do talk about it, it's very minimally. Or you know what? The conditioning of the world just makes us believe certain things about our bodies and health, that we're now to the point where the normalization of poor health is just a part of getting older. We get older, we're tired, we get sick, we look forward to hospital visits, all these things, and it's become normalized. But again, the power of a spiritual health journey is really going back to our creator, our designer. And if we look at that through the Bible, we don't see people dying off with disease or dealing with all these health things. And I think that's just such a crucial, vital step, because I think I was listening to Chris, is what's the first vital step in taking control of your health with God is to deepen your relationship with him. Learn more about your father, which is going to gain a deeper understanding and fortify you when the journey gets hard, because it's not of if it's going to happen, but when it gets harder. Whenever we're on a health journey, I think anyone that's starting in the middle or has done one in the past, I think they could all raise their hand to say, you know what, yeah, I've had those points where I started, it felt great, but then it got hard, and then I just went back to square one. So yeah,
and it
so
happens. I love how Chris was on here before talking about our stories and bringing that to the forefront. Kingdom Health has been a big part of my story, and reclaiming, my health, making that a kingdom priority. And I want to ask you, why should people do that? Why is reclaiming our health a kingdom priority?
Yeah, it's if we think about kingdom work, it's us sharing the wonder of God. It's us sharing the wonder of God, expanding his kingdom here on earth. And to do that, we're going to have to play offense. We're not going to, take back territory or take new territory if we're not on the offensive. But how can we be on the offensive if, just as a visual, imagine you couldn't use your arms, or you would have to be on one leg. And I think people are like, oh yeah, that'd be really hard. Well, if we think about it today, if we're exhausted, both mentally and physically, and we're just running on fumes every day, or we're managing pain throughout our bodies, or even worse, we're managing a disease, or medications, hospital visits, all this, how can we be at full capacity to play offense for the kingdom, when if we can go back to learning our design, our original design, and how powerful that can be, and we can start taking those simple, practical steps to align with that design, the body has been designed to work in a way where it can produce energy, where it can heal itself. And again, it goes back to learning that from our Father, our designer and creator.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
As we kind of transition here, we are going to be bringing a piece of Kingdom Health to Abundant TV. I'd love for you to start some introductions at that. Tell what that's going to be like. What maybe a structure of the show. How's that going to help our audience?
Oh yeah, I think Chris said it. What are people going to come for your show. And the Kingdom Health Show is where we're going to share every week how to put God at the center of your health journey. And it's going to be through practical, concrete steps that can transform your life. And what we're going to be sharing every week is, hey, let's understand more of our design. We've read the Bible, but hey, let's dig deeper into these parts where it's like, oh my goodness, like it's always been there. But then a part of a health journey is why is it so hard? No one talks about this, but it's hard. Why is it hard? And we need to be aware of the enemy that's playing against us, but also coupled with that, how culture conditions us, how it's oftentimes upside down to the kingdom. And so it's these core principles that we're going to talk about real life and what's happening. And it's just those three things. If we can start to understand our original design, how we've been designed to flourish, but understand that the enemy is playing these things to take us off that plan. And more importantly, how culture conditions us to believe those very things. This is what the show is going to be. And again, it's not just theory and deep things that are things that maybe we can't implement, but it's going to be through practical, concrete steps so that people can leave an episode like, oh my goodness, I could start that now. And oh, that makes sense. And we start to build hope in a way where people that, have poor health are like, man, I've tried everything. But we're inviting people to say, maybe there's one piece that's been missing that's going to be the game changer for you. But more importantly, that piece is going to be the thing that gives you hope, that's going to give you the energy and the vitality and the thought to say, okay, I can do this. I can. And here's the next step in that process.
That's awesome. And the best part about all of these things, it's things that God has given us that we need, that's readily available to us. It's nothing extra. It's nothing that's manufactured. It's just what God has given us and the tools that he's given us. So if we're leaning into the creator with this stuff, it's incredible. It's a game changer. It changes lives. So with the show that's coming up, I can't wait to hear more about the show, see more about the show. I'm a part of this, and it's changed my life drastically, and it's incredible. So Jess, that's one reason why we want to bring you back on the show. You're one of our the best guests, one of the best guests we have with the Kingdom Health thing. This needs to be a priority. We need to bring God in the health journey. So thank you for what you're doing, and we can't wait to see more of this show.
And I think the one thing, and I want to say this, is the one thing that Jess talks about, and the one thing that has helped me since I met Jess is I drink more water than I've ever had in my life. And I have, like, you'd be so proud. I've had nothing but water and coffee too. I got to admit, I still have my coffee. Hey. But other than that, I don't drink anything other than water. And it's been a 6-month journey on that. And trust me, I used to drink cans of pop like all the time. I mean, it was like a part of who I was. So first step, if you can take away, start drinking more water. That's the thing we'll say about Jess. He would tell you, drink more water. So that's your takeaway for the day. Go drink more water.
Well, guys, check out kingdomhealth.life. That's where you can find out more information, what's going on with the show, with Kingdom Health. Jess, man, thank you.
No, of course. Thanks, guys, for having me. And super awesome to be here again.
Wow. The time just goes by so fast. But yes, I'm so proud of myself. I've been drinking more water.
I love that, man. That's good to hear.
It is. It feels good. It feels good to be an adult. Man, time about just so fast. Great show. Hey, we appreciate each and every one of you. If you've got any questions or anything like that, you can hit us on the app, on the Abundant TV app, or find us on social media. This show will air tomorrow on the network at noon. And so we have a lot of fun doing this, and it's always fun doing it live.